Hello, hello. Welcome back to Peak Northwest, an outdoors and travel podcast by the Oregonian and Oregon Live, dedicated to the adventure and exploration of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm Chiara Profenna, and my usual co-host, Jamie Hale, is out for the next couple of episodes, so it's just me today and our lovely guest, Dr. Shirley A. Jackson, who is a volunteer leader for Oregon and a West Coast regional leader for Outdoor Afro. Shirley, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of
I'm happy
course.
to be here.
Wanted to kind of start by telling us a little bit about what you do as an outdoor leader in Portland.
Sure. Let me just say first that when I got involved with Outdoor Afro, when I really got involved, it was during COVID. And I saw Outdoor Afro as a way to get myself outside, meeting with people, doing things, exercising, and just being in nature, which is one of the things that I really enjoy. So when I started the initial outings, going on these initial outings, it was just so much fun. And it was also nice to not have to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And, even though we did practice social distancing, even on our hikes and other outdoor activities, but I got involved as a leader because I really wanted to just do all of these things that I had either heard about or things that really spoke to me as somebody who likes the outdoors, but doesn't always have people around me who are really wanting to do those things or who may not feel comfortable doing some of the things that I like doing. So when I got involved as a leader, it was just so much fun. Doing the training, they do train leaders, and just meeting all of these people from around the United States who have a similar interest in just introducing Black people to the outdoors and helping them to feel comfortable in spaces where they may not see themselves. So that was really what got me involved in Outdoor Afro. And I've also made a lot of really good connections with respect to friends and people in the community who I might not have ordinarily been introduced to.
Right. And Outdoor Afro, just stepping back, their mission is to reconnect Black people with the land and allow them to be more comfortable out in nature. So, upon initially learning about them, were you just involved as like a member of the community before you became a leader?
Yes, actually, it was interesting. I had signed up on a social media site to do some of the activities with them, and I just never got around to it. It was really funny. Never got around to it. There was always something that came up. And of course, when COVID hit, you don't really have those kinds of restrictions on your time in terms of your ability to go and do things. I
Mm-hmm.
could work at home and what have you. So when I started doing these activities, it really was about hiking and going to some of the parks in the area that I had heard about, but never really had done hiking there very often or not at all in some instances. So for me, it was really about, okay, what else can I do? And when I became a leader, I really saw that there was just so many things that were out there. And I have to say, one of the things that I always wanted to do when I first moved to Oregon, I started hearing about the Swifts
Mm-hmm.
and Chapman Elementary School and the Swift Watch. So I actually made that an outdoor Afro event a couple of years ago. And oh my goodness, it was such a blast. It really was. It was so much fun to see what I kept hearing people talk about. So every now and again, I'll find something where it's like, oh, I think I'd like to do that as an outdoor Afro event. And
Yeah.
it's just a way, really to get people out there where you're doing the stuff that maybe you'd heard about, but nobody that you know wants to really go out there and do it. And you don't want to go by yourself. So when we do outdoor Afro events, sometimes we'll have people who will say, I've always wanted to do this. I just never knew how to go about doing it. And I didn't know anybody. And I have to say, one of the things about Outdoor Afro is, the people that you meet when you're doing the training, people around the country, you hear about so many different activities that people are doing. And you look around in your local area, whatever state you might be in, whatever region of the country you're in, and you start to think about what is it that people do here that I might be able to do and bring others into those spaces. So giving people a comfort level, and a sense of community, that's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm part of like a run club, and I can just vouch for how amazing it is to be part of like an outdoor community of people that just, plan events and get together, and especially people that share your cultural background. I'm Mexican, so I'm part of a Hispanic run club. And having that space where you can meet people and build friendships and community outside is just so special and so important. So, can you speak a little bit about how the community has responded to Outdoor Afro and, some of these more interesting events that you've planned, kind of beyond hiking? And there's a lot to do outside.
There's a lot to do. So let me just say that one of the things that I've actually really enjoyed doing, and it's really funny how you find that you have a competitive spirit that kicks in sometimes. So one of the activities that I have really learned to enjoy a lot, is basically archery. So pairing up with organizations that do the kinds of activities that you'd like to do, or other people who've been on some of your events will say, hey, I'd like to do such and such a thing. Have you talked to so and so? And maybe we can do this, with them. So when it comes to something like archery, I really enjoy working with hunters of color because they really do a fabulous job of making sure that they have the people there who will help train you. You have the equipment. You even have the targets that they'll put out there at the archery range, at Washington Park, for example, in Portland. And there's so much, you're just really involved in this fun activity. You've got people who are just realizing how good they are, or perhaps even how bad they are. And it all becomes part of that sense of community. I
Hmm.
There was somebody who I would call them, I would give them a nickname because that was the person who was quiet and they just seemed to be very mellow. But man, they could hit a target. It was just really fun to see. So working with those folks and hunters of color, and even people of color outdoors, POCO. That's an organization that was founded by a former Portland area outdoor Afro leader, and she has decided that the outdoors is something that so many people want to be in, out doing things in, but it's not just sometimes black people, but other folks of color who want to be in those spaces. And I will say that although we do have these spaces that are designed for certain communities, certain affinity groups, if you will, that doesn't mean that we're excluding anyone from being at our activities. Latino Outdoors, for example, is another group that I know is out there, and I've met one of their I've actually met a couple of their people, and just doing those kinds of events where you're even canoeing on the Columbia Slough with the wonderful people at the excuse me, Columbia Slough Watershed Council, fabulous group of people. And just doing things where you're camping, and if you've got a connection where folks are helping you to find campsites, that to me is also just a fabulous activity, especially because it's something that is for families. If you are somebody who is single, you want to get out there and meet people, just to have a sense of community so that you're not doing it by yourself. It's fun. It's just
Hmm.
great. So yeah, doing those kinds of things. And also I will say, in in addition to the outdoors, we will sometimes do indoor activities
Yes.
because with our weather, you can't always count on the weather cooperating with the kinds of events that you like to do. But we do a wide range of activities, and I'm going to mention one more because I am sure you've never heard anybody mention this before. But there is a group of women who are in an organization where you have to be 40 years old or above, and you are learning how to jump rope, like double Dutch jump rope.
Wow, that sounds
And
fun.
yeah, that I happened to run into this organization in Chicago, of all places. And there were just, I don't even know how many, maybe 1,000 of them at the same hotel that I was at for a conference. And I just thought that was so much fun. And they were out there doing double Dutch, they were hula hooping, they were line dancing. And it was just all about just being outdoors and enjoying yourself. So it that to me was just such a fun event. So when I did it with Outdoor Afro, everybody wanted to do it again. So we will be doing that one again, but we'll be doing it indoors because they've now moved their location indoors for the winter and fall months.
Right. And I was curious because this week is kind of, I feel like the first week in Portland that it's been really, really cold and it's starting to become hard to force myself to go outside. So, how do you continue to, cultivate these activities and plan things throughout the colder months? And what do those activities look like?
Well, we've actually even used the Portland Art Museum as one of our sites.
Hmm.
We've also done the Historical Society Museum. So it depends on whatever exhibit happens to be on display. That's what we'll do. We had at the Portland Art Museum, for example, a couple of years ago, two fabulous exhibits. One of them was Africa Fashion, which I have to say it was one of my favorite exhibits. And I can't even tell you how long. It might be my favorite exhibit ever because it was just a wonderful opportunity to see all of these African designers' clothing on display. And to see all of these clothes on display from these various countries and designers was wonderful. And that particular exhibit was also running at the same time as the Oregon Black Artists exhibit. So sometimes you really have to think about if I'm going to, try to provide some sense of community with Black folks, then how might I have to do that? What will that look like? So you really have to sometimes be very creative, and it could also be that the activity that you decide to do is something that is along with the season. So one
Hmm.
thing that I've not yet done, and I am hoping to do it at some point, I would love to go and pick fruit, you know, or vegetables. I've never done that. I would
Hmm.
love to go to that corn maze out on Sauvie Island. So it's like those kinds of things that are just so much fun. It's like, wow, I've never done that. Let me go and try to do that. So we also will do things like I will mention this one because we will do it regardless of the weather, just because you can't change the event. We've started doing the New Year's Day hikes that are run by the parks,
Hmm.
state parks, I believe it is. So we will do that, and we'll do it again this year. But I think that's a lot of fun. And then the Bird Alliance of Oregon has a hot chocolate and hawks event that is a wonderful bird watching event. Again, rain or shine, they're out there. And this year there was plenty of rain and weather wasn't so great, but there was hot chocolate. And yes, we saw plenty of birds.
Well, that makes up for the cold and the wet season for sure. I think a cup of hot chocolate can kind of get anybody to go outside at that point.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And you say about the weather. I was born in Buffalo, New York, so for me, I'm like, no, the weather's perfectly fine.
Right. This is
But we
nothing. Yeah.
exactly, but we do have people who are from all around the U.S. We have some people who are not even, from the U.S. who might be attending our events. So we do have to really be cognizant of that, and also be really prepared. We haven't mentioned that, but one of the things that you have to really do when you're taking folks out into these different spaces, don't assume that they know the proper footwear, the proper attire, what to bring with them. You know, how long is this event going to be? Is it something that requires that they have lots of water, snacks, things like that? So definitely being prepared. Sometimes also due to the weather constantly changing, are you wearing clothes in layers? Are you wearing proper footwear and so on?
Right. And along with, having all these different kinds of activities, what is the kind of schedule that y'all follow about how often are you planning these things?
We do activities at least once a month. So
Okay.
that's one of the things that we must do as leaders. And I like to do things at least once a month anyway, because I just think it's a good way to keep myself busy, and to find new places to go to or to visit spots that I haven't been to in a while just to see how they've changed. So I like doing activities at least once a month, but sometimes it will be multiple times a month. And we usually will do events on a Saturday. And on a rare occasion, I might do something on a Sunday. But Saturdays, I think people, you know, across the board tend to want to get outside on Saturdays. And Sunday is your day to just be at home chilling, waiting for the, start of the work week for a lot of people. So
For
yeah,
sure.
usually Saturdays. And I must say, I think, depending on the event that we have, sometimes it can be 2 hours, sometimes it can be a little bit longer. But I like being really cognizant of people's time and trying to make sure that it's an hour and a half at minimum, but usually 2 hours. And that gives people, I think, a nice amount of time outdoors in various spaces or even indoors, where you can really take your time. If you're doing, as I said, a museum exhibit, you might want to come back and do something else, at that museum at a later date.
Right. And just kind of introducing people to all of these different activities and spaces. What has the community response been? Like, what have you heard from the people that have attended these events?
Oh, very supportive, very supportive. We have actually had a lot of people who are transplants to Oregon. I'm a transplant. I When I moved here, I didn't really know anyone, so I knew one person who I had gone to grad school with who just so happened to live in Oregon. But a lot of people, when they move here for a job, they are sometimes moving here alone, and if they do move here with friends or somebody who's a family member, that doesn't necessarily mean that that particular friend is going to stay forever in the area, or even family members. They might decide that they want to move to a different location. So maybe this particular state or the city that they're in doesn't really work for them. So to have that, and I keep saying it, but that community, that sense of community, that you know, opportunity to build friendships. That for me has actually been really important, but it's also been very important, I think, for people who attend our events. And I think for many of us who enjoy the outdoors, you can always go and do things on your own. That's something that's a given. But sometimes it's nice to be able to have met somebody on one of the outings, and you're sharing phone numbers, and you are able to call that person and say, "Hey, you want to go on a hike?" Or, "Hey, my dog got along really well with your dog. Want to like go to a dog park with our dogs?" And then sometimes you just want to go and meet with people and have a cup of coffee, or maybe go to a play. And I've actually had that happen with myself. And I do consider some of the people that I've met over the years to be really good friends. So I think that is a part of that, building of trust, community. It becomes really important for a lot of people. And again, as I said, we're open to everyone coming to our events. But one thing that we do, I want to make sure that this is not the case. I don't want people to feel that this is a space where they can come into that space and then start talking about things that some of us don't want to talk about. If you are somebody who is not Black and you come into that space and you want to talk about race issues, um, this is not the space for it. This is
Hmm.
our opportunity just to be outdoors and just, as they say, let your hair down and, and just chill. So you don't want to always be in that space where you're just trying to teach people what it's like to be in your shoes. That's just not something that we're really interested in promoting.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Having a space to just celebrate community joy and be together is so important, and getting away from
Hmm.
all of that noise from your day to day,
Exactly,
definitely something
exactly.
people look for.
And it's, I think about one of the activities that we've done, more than once. We've actually gone out to a Black farm in Portland and helped them just, hey, make sure that you're pulling weeds or clearing different areas for the fruits and vegetables that are being grown. There's also, you know, hey, let's just take a wheelbarrow and put some wood chips out here and cover up these muddy areas and so on. That kind of opportunity to do that is a lot of fun as well, because for those people who don't have access to gardening, we provide that if people are interested in it. It's like, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll find some way to do that. We might do a tree walk. The albino tree walk, for example, is something that we really like doing, because you are seeing what's out there in your neighborhood, or in a neighborhood that maybe you didn't even know existed. So it's all about exploration too.
Right, absolutely. And so you talked a little bit about some of the events y'all have going on. You said archery, bird watching, hikes, walking. Is there any upcoming event that you are super excited about?
I have to laugh at that one because we did a canoeing event. I want to say it was like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now, maybe. And somebody mentioned an event that I had not heard of, and it was called cosmic tubing.
Hmm. I have not
And
heard of that one either.
yeah, so I believe the name of it was Cosmic Tubing, but it's going to Mount Hood and being on these inner tubes, and you know, there's like a DJ playing music. It's dark out. There's like glow sticks and lights and all. So it looks like a lot of fun, and I had not heard of this one, but I just thought, wow, okay, when the weather gets to be just so, I think we'll do that one. I just thought that
Yeah,
looked like so much fun, and I had not heard of it. So again, it's all about what do people want to do. And when people make suggestions like that, I'm like, let me look into that. That sounds interesting. So yeah. So
that
I
sounds
think
really
we'll
fun.
definitely, yeah, I think we'll be doing that one. I think that one just sounds like it's a lot of fun. So that might be one of our events in the next couple of months. Within the next 3 months, I think we'll probably do that one. So weather permitting.
I love that. That is such like a range of events that you have. It's so awesome. Um, super, super excited to look into this a little bit more. And for anybody listening that wants to participate, how can they get involved? Where can they find these events?
So our outdoor Afro events are posted on the Outdoor Afro app. So you would have to go to, your Play Store and, log on, look for Outdoor Afro, and then you'll be able to see what the events are in this area. And if you were traveling to a different part of the country and you opened up that app, you would actually be able to see events in that part of the country. So you can do a search by region of the country, by leader, by the leader's name, and so on. So it's a really good way to see what types of things are going on around the country. And there are some people who might enjoy water sports, paddling, swimming, things like that. Then certainly they would be able to find those types of activities. I've not done the paddling events. I'm like, yeah, let's just, I don't. I don't believe I could stand up on a paddleboard, but you know, I don't. I think people say, "Oh, but you don't need to. You could just kneel." Well, that'll be all I'll be doing. So there are people who really enjoy that, and they want to be certified in it, and that's wonderful. So again, depending on what kinds of activities you like to do, you can usually find somebody who's doing them. It just may not be like there might not be numerous activities of the kind that you're searching for, because it really is dependent upon what the leader is doing. If somebody is coming to do events with me, I can pretty much assure you there will be no climbing of, rocks and what have you. And yeah, that is just not me. No, no, it's not happening.
Right. And good to mention that Outdoor Afro is national, so you can find them all over, correct?
Yes, yes.
And within the Oregon, there is you are the Portland area leader. Are there any other leaders in Oregon?
Yes, there is a new leader who is in the Salem area. So that person also will have events that are listed on the Outdoor Afro app. And you can also see some of our events are on Facebook,
Hmm.
but they will refer you to the app so that you can sign up. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, and we
Well,
are right now. There is recruitment that's going on for new outdoor Afro leaders. I can't remember if the applications have already been accepted, but
mhm.
I know that nationally there have been people who've been applying to be leaders with outdoor Afro, and there is a whole process that goes along with that.
Well, that is awesome. Very cool to hear. For people that want to get involved, great opportunity. And it was so lovely to hear more about Outdoor Afro.
Thank you.
And so, thank you for joining us, Shirley. And that is all we have for today. But until next time, you can watch our videos on the Oregonians YouTube channel and view all of our travel and outdoors coverage on OregonLive.com/travel, as well as here'soregon.com. Please leave us a rating or review if you enjoy the show, and if you want to support this podcast, as well as our local journalism, please consider a subscription to Oregon Live. You can find the details at OregonLive.com/subscribe. Also, if you're a fan of the show and you're interested in potentially sponsoring it, you can get in touch with our marketing people at advertise@oregonian.com. This episode of the show was produced by me alongside Jamie Hale, Teresa Mahoney, and Vicki Connor. Stay safe and happy travels, everyone. Until next time, we leave you with this 10 seconds of Zen.